Welcome everyone to New HD NYC with your host Ray K, available on all major podcast platforms and powered by New HD Media. Now here's your host, Ray K.
Guys, I got a special show today, a lot of inspiration the next 25, 30 minutes, and I don't know how else to say it except we have a world record holder for the first person born with Down syndrome to finish an Ironman, and we have actually an Ironman in his own right, Dan Grieb, who is his trainer and coach, and he's with us too. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, well, you're very welcome. Chris, I got to ask you. You're like a overnight sensation. What's it like, being world famous, being a star?
It's pretty good. I mean, being the first is really good feeling to be with family, and I really love being a star. Not only am I a star, I decided to put the work in, and on November 2020, the 7th, I was in Pemberley Beach, 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and this seems crazy for Dan, and it's just crazy because we were not prepared to step on the empire.
Okay, stop there. Hey,
crash.
that's not this question. So you feel it's good to be a celebrity?
Yeah,
because you get to inspire people?
yeah,
And that makes you happy?
yeah,
And you have a whole new set of friends?
yeah,
That's pretty awesome, isn't it?
yeah.
All right, great.
Well, it's the hope, with the additional needs community of what can happen, right, and what is possible. Actually, it's inspiration from myself also. When you see that ESPN that just came out on the 12-minute special on your race, I mean, you can't help but, well up at the end of it. I mean, I think everybody, feels that emotion. And Dan, can you describe the Ironman? I mean, I never realized there's a time limit you have to finish, and it's a tight time limit. I mean, it's not a layup. I mean, you got to really work it. And, the miles, the bike, the run, the swim. Tell us about all of that.
Yeah, well, an Ironman event is 17 hours long, right, Chris?
Yeah.
And then how long is the swim?
2.4,
So you have to do a 2.4 mile swim. And then how long's the bike, buddy?
112,
112 mile bike ride. And then when you're done with that, what do you have?
26,
26 what?
22,
What?
marathon,
Marathon. So you have a 26.2 mile run at the end of all that for a total of how many miles?
over 40.
140 miles. That you have 17 hours to complete it. And what was interesting for Chris is, number one, is he was the first person with Down syndrome to ever even attempt this.
Okay.
Not the first person to just complete it, but attempt it. So they didn't have any real rules for him or division for him to be in. They have what's called a PC category, and then they have a pro category, and then they have what's called an age grouper. Well, for him, he has an intellectual disability, which is Down syndrome, and there is no category. So not only did he set a world record, did he attempt an Ironman, complete an Ironman, but he also created a category so that people just like him can now come and race and be included in the hardest of extreme sports that only 1% of our population in the world will ever complete.
Well, it's almost like when someone breaks through the barrier, like Roger Bannister with the 4-minute mile. All of a sudden, everybody floods through it, because now people see what's possible. I got a feeling we're going to see more, people with the additional needs, Down syndrome, other disabilities finish the race. Is that realistic to, to achieve?
It's very realistic, and I will tell you what's great about Chris and his family, the Nikic family. They've already committed, I've committed as well, that the first person with Down syndrome that attempts an Ironman, that the three of us, myself, Chris, and Nick, will go help them train. And we will be at whatever race they race at, no matter where it is in the world, and we will wait for them on the finish line. We will help them through the race. We will help them, because for Chris, it wasn't about setting a record. It was just like you said, about what, Chris? Breaking down the barriers,
Yeah.
right? And giving other people an opportunity just like you, right? Okay.
Wow, that is, you know, I mean, there's a lot of excitement ahead. There's another Ironman coming up. Chris, tell me, like, I want to hear like, what's a typical day, like this week, like the hardest day you get up in the morning, what happens? I just want to hear your training on one day.
Tell them what your training was like 2 days ago when you did your swim, your bike, and your run, and your training with Marquise. Can you do that?
Yeah.
So what'd you do yesterday for swim?
Uh,
Do you remember? Or why don't you tell them about today? What'd you do today?
swim
All right, how long did you swim today?
3 hours.
3 hours to swimming.
Wow.
And then what are you gonna do after you're done with this?
Another podcast.
Right, but then you have a run today. How long's your run? 6 miles.
Yeah.
So tell them, don't tell me, tell them. How long's your run?
6 miles.
A 6 mile run. And then when you're done with that, you'll go home and you'll take a little rest. And then you're going to go to the gym with Marquise. And what are you going to do there?
1%.
And what is 1%?
I'm up to 300
You're up to 300 what?
push-ups.
300 push-ups? And then how many sit-ups?
300.
300 sit-ups? And how many squats?
300.
300. Well, when you started,
Wow.
how many push-ups did you do then?
1.
One push-up? And how many sit-ups?
1.
One sit-up? And how many squats?
1.
One squat too? And how many are you going to do before we go to Hawaii in October?
500
500 what?
push-ups.
And how many sit-ups?
500.
500 sit-ups too? And how many squats?
500.
500. A kid that did one is going to do 500 in 2 years?
Oh,
You're
no.
crazy. And you have Down syndrome? You're kidding me. You're not supposed to be able to do all that. Are you kidding me? How's that possible?
Dan, does Chris have, there must be athletic ability that comes into this. I've seen pictures of him swimming. I mean, he looks like Mark Spitz out there. I mean, he has a smooth stroke. And I mean, is that anybody can do that? It's impressive to see Chris's athletic ability. It really is.
Well, Chris here locally has specifically, there's over 20 people with intellectual disabilities on a triathlon team with Chris now. And he has 2 friends that he grew up with, like from birth, that are now swimming, that also have Down syndrome that they never believed could swim.
Okay.
Now, Chris does not have this perfect swim stroke.
Okay.
He has limited shoulder ability. His neck is a little weak. I mean, he's got a strong neck now, but it's not like a my swim stroke. But what he's learned is he's learned to adapt it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now he's got a good swim stroke, and as a result, he's doing better. But here's the deal: anyone, you know, the way that we say this for Special Olympics athletes is that they're going to compete to the extent of their ability. Now, here's the problem: society typically determines their ability is non-existent and just puts this barrier and says, like, they're not going to amount to much, they can't do much, so then they don't even challenge them to do a lot. Well, Chris has parents that have said, we're going to stop listening to the experts, we're going to stop listening to the doctors, and we're just going to see what's possible. And as of right now, we still don't know what's possible. Ironman might be the beginning of what's possible, because we're seeing intellectual growth in Chris that we've never seen before. They've never seen before. We're seeing physical increase. Tell him how far you swam this weekend with your Uncle Dan. How far did you swim? 10,000 what?
10,000.
Tell him. 10,000 what?
10,000 yards.
10,000 yards. So if you were to ask Suri how long that is, that's 6 miles.
Wow.
He swam 6 miles. In an Ironman, we only swim 2 miles.
Right.
But it was the charity thing to see if you could do 10,000 yards, and he did 10,000 yards. Well, his parents didn't think that was possible. He's the first person that we're aware of that has ever accepted that challenge locally. Other people with Down syndrome have swam the English Channel.
Okay.
So it's possible. It's
Okay.
very possible.
Well, Nick said a very powerful thing on that 13-minute ESPN special just released last week. about how one of the trainers didn't want to train Chris because of the Down syndrome. I mean, that was I guess it's a classic thing, all through history, and people not. And then Nick stayed with it, and tell that story. I mean, that was to me that was very powerful and very telling. And then how you had to break through that to make this happen.
Yes, well, for it starts actually when before Chris was born. When his parents were told that he had Down syndrome, the first thing the doctor said is, "Let me tell you what your options are."
Okay.
Like when I was told that I was having a child, doctors didn't give me any options. They just said, "You're going to have a baby, and this is how it's going to go." They didn't tell me I had other options. It was have a baby. Well, when they determined that Chris had Down syndrome, they started talking about options, and then Nick just said, "I'm not interested in those options." And then from that moment on, they've been told the majority of his life he wouldn't amount to much. And then once he got past that, and they started trying to get him included in schools and athletic programs and getting him socialized, society has pretty much said we want to keep him safe, and we want to, marginalize him for his own safety. We want to keep him in a small box for his own safety. And here he is at 20 years old, and he wants to be an Ironman, and he stands in front of our coach and says, "We create a training program." And that coach did the exact same thing that society has been taught, which is, "No, it's too dangerous," instead of, "No, well, let's give him a try." I mean, what's the harm if we have him tethered to another athlete and we take him out into the ocean? Truth be told, the first time I took Chris out into the ocean and had him swim in the chop, he was very scared. He was so mentally fatigued after he was done just swimming 200 yards that he actually fell asleep. But he overcame that, which is the same thing you and I do. When we get so taxed mentally, we deal with it, and then as a result of dealing with it, our capacity to do more grows. And that's the only thing the Nikic family wants for Chris and other people like Chris, is the opportunity to grow their capacity.
It just shows you what experts think. I always wondered about experts. So that's a classic example of sometimes the experts aren't right. As a matter of fact, they're wrong a lot, So that's kind of a lesson just in general. Chris, tell me about the 1%. I know your dad invented this 1% improvement and how it accumulates. And what's an example of a 1%? Is that the push-ups you were saying that, you do 2 and then you do 3 and then just little increments, right? And then you could apply this in every facet of your life.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them about the 1%, about how it's 1 today, 1 tomorrow. Tell them about that. Yeah, tell them.
So the 1% is mainly about getting 1% every day and do with a smile.
So these are the rules of 1%. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah.
So the first rule is what? Do everything what?
With a smile.
Do everything with a smile.
Wow,
What's the second
okay.
rule?
I like that.
Hard.
Work hard. Do you work hard?
Yeah.
Yes, you do work hard. What's the third rule?
Eat more Chipotle.
Eat more Chipotle. Okay, what's the fourth rule?
No excuses.
Why don't you make any excuses? Because why?
Because it's bull crap.
Oh, don't say that. Because why? Because we don't.
Sorry.
Tell him, not me. Tell him what?
Okay, there.
Nice and loud. Because why?
Because we don't tolerate it.
We don't tolerate excuses, right? And our goal is to get 1% better every day. So we have to commit to getting 1% better every day.
Yeah.
We have to do everything with a smile because nobody likes a grouchy athlete,
I know.
right? We have to eat more rice and enjoy ourselves. We have to have fun. What else? Make no excuses, right? Those are the rules. And that's the concept that Nick came up with because he wanted it to be fun. What Nick realized is that most athletes like myself, and it's so true, and I hate to admit that he's so right with this, we redline our bodies until we're in pain. And then what's the likelihood that we're going to go train? So if on Monday I redline my body, I do more push-ups, more sit-ups than I should. I'm sore for 4 days, so I can't work out till Thursday. Well, now I get no real workout, or I work out until I injure myself. I'm constantly injured. Chris is not injured because he works 1%. I work redline, the way I've been taught. Well, in Chris's case, he doesn't do 10 pull-ups every day. he does 5. And when pain starts showing up, he stops. And then the next day he does 5. Or the next day he does 6. He waits a few days, he does 7. He waits a few days, does 8. And now he's doing almost 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups,
Wow.
300 squats, you know, in intervals of 25 or 29 or 30. What are you doing them in now, intervals? He's doing intervals of 30. So he does 10 rounds of 30 and he's knocking them out. And before you know it, he's going to do 10 rounds of 50, right?
Yeah.
And then that's it. And that's how you get better. And that's also the formula to having a great marriage. That's the formula to getting out of debt. It's the formula for building relationships, building businesses. And what we're teaching him are not just skills that'll help him be an Ironman, but skills that'll help him live his dreams. And why don't you tell him what your dream is? To live a life of what?
Independence.
You want to live an independent life?
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Having my own house.
Your own house. What else?
Having my own car.
Your own car?
And maybe smoking out blonde.
Like who?
Mom.
Like your mom? You want to smoke an out blonde like your mom?
Yeah.
And is that a concept? And what does that concept mean? Tell him.
Conditional.
You want what?
Conditional.
You want unconditional what?
Love.
That just like you receive from your mom?
Yeah.
Oh, those are great dreams. So for you, Chris, your dream is to live independently and have those things, right? So is your dream to be an Ironman?
No.
What is it?
The goal.
It's the goal. And the goal of Ironman helps you get your what?
The dream.
Get your dream. Love that.
So you have to look ahead to that dream to get this initial situation to get to your dream.
That's
Is
right.
Is that okay? Okay.
That's right. And Chris,
Okay.
Chris will tell you, Chris, when we were racing, were you ever in pain?
Mm-hmm.
And was it really hard?
Yeah.
Did you think about quitting?
Yeah.
But why didn't you quit? What did your dad say to you? Tell him he wants to hear this.
Basically, he said, there's a bad going on between the pain and the dream. And I basically said the dream.
And so your dad asked you a question. What question was it?
The question was,
Who's gonna what?
the win.
Who's gonna win?
Yeah.
And your dad said there's a battle going on between your pain and your dreams, and who's gonna win, Chris? You have to decide your dreams or your pain. And which one did you choose?
Dream.
You chose the dream, right? Now, here's what's really interesting. Chris has Down syndrome, so people marginalize him and think that maybe he's not smart. But the reality of that is, listen to the clarity of which Chris can tell you. I keep making the mistake and saying, tell him your dreams. And he keeps correcting me and saying, I'll tell you my dream. The dream is to live independently, and these are the parts of living independently. What was your goal? My goal was this. Chris was willing to go through extreme pain, difficulty, because he has such a strong relationship to his dream of living independence that he's willing to do whatever it takes. Is that right?
Yeah.
Who taught you that?
Yeah.
Your dad and your Uncle Dan, right? Great stuff.
Now, I want Chris to talk about another person. Sometimes there's always that person in the background that you don't hear about. I mean, Nick, Nick's unbelievable. I mean, when you just see the special of him, and I mean, it really is a special situation, and yourself too, Dan. I want to hear Chris talk about his mom, because there's always someone in the background that kind of keeps it all going, and I think she's that person, that kind of is the glue. So, can you talk about your mom, Chris?
Tell him about your mom and how, for the first 18 years, what she did with you for a young boy, all your therapies and stuff. Tell him that. Sure. Tell him.
So, over the past 18 years, my mom has been helping, being supportive, as she overcome those therapies. And y'all know that I have poor balance, and I couldn't even ride a bike. I couldn't even swim a nap. I couldn't even run a mile. And it's just about making friends and having fun
Talk about mom, about how she inspires you and how she loves you and all the things she does for you. Tell him that. That's what he wants to hear.
She's just the best mom ever.
So, so if I could add a little bit to that. So,
Mhm.
you know, the amount of, we get to see a lot of Nick, and we stand on the shoulders of giants. His, you know, Patty took care of Chris the majority, the first 18 years of his life, from teaching him how to eat. You know, Chris didn't have enough muscle tone in his mouth for him to eat properly, and you didn't start eating solid foods until you were what, 5? Is that right?
Yeah.
So she used to actually have to stretch his mouth, put her fingers in his, and work his mouth muscles
Okay.
and brush his skin for sensitivity, you know, every day. And it was that work, that years of compounding work with her and Chris and therapy sessions and things they did, that gave him the ability when he was 18, when Nick decided to go and get him to be a little bit more physically active. For me, I'm Chris's guide who gets to do all the cool races with him and be in all these cool interviews and stuff. But I also stand on the shoulders of giants. He had a coach named Simone that was actually his coach before me.
Mhm.
And she's the one that got him started in the junior races, what we call a sprint series, where he did 10-mile races. He didn't get to me until he got a little too fast for her, and he wanted to go to 25 miles. And that's when I got him. So, you know, Nick gets a lot of accolades for what he's done, and he is truly an amazing father. But you're right, in the background is a woman that is the glue of the Nikic family, that without a doubt is the gas that makes this family go. And when Chris came home from his Ironman, he had a medal. And what'd you do with that medal, Chris?
Give it to her,
You gave it to who?
Mom.
You gave it to mom. And why did you give it to mom?
Because I knew that I was going to get my wife.
Because you wanted to get your own wife one day, and you wanted your mom to know that you really appreciated all the help she gave you.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. You're a great son. I'm proud of you for that.
Chris, would you accept a smoking hot brunette, or does it have to be a blonde?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So he's speaking in a concept there. So, like, give you an example. He says a smoking hot blonde because what that represents
Right.
is his mother. His father Nick refers to his mother, Patty, as his smoking hot blonde. So he wants what he has.
Okay.
He's a blonde from Minnesota.
Right.
However, Chris, you love Miss Gianna.
Yeah.
Do you love her?
Yeah.
Is she your favorite person on my team?
Yeah.
So I have a real estate team, and Gianna's one of my assistants, and that's his favorite. What color's her hair?
Blonde.
Brunette. And then you also love, who's your second favorite on my team?
So.
No, who else? You said it yesterday.
Alexis.
Alexis is your second favorite? What color's her hair?
Blonde.
Brunette. And then my wife, Mindy. You love Mindy?
Yeah.
What color's her hair?
Blonde.
Brunette.
Okay.
It's all the
I
concepts.
get it. Yeah.
Monkey.
Well, sense of humor is so important, and I see it through Chris. I mean, he really has it going, and
Yes, brings a lot of joy to our lives.
and the affection, you know, it's really touching stuff.
Yes.
And you know, it's great to see, and it's what life really should be about, you know, more so. And you know, the last year has been rough, and you know, it's a feel good type situation, and it's great to see you guys hugging and the whole thing. Is an Ironman tough for you, Dan, to finish? I mean, or is it easy for you, or you know, just how hard is it? Just give me the minute version. How for yourself?
Ironman is difficult. I mean,
Okay.
it's difficult, you know, it's difficult when I run at Chris's pace, and it's difficult when I run at my pace, because you're pushing yourself to the edges of human exertion. And it's difficult. Chris's race is more difficult for me than mine is, because we're literally on our feet in action for 16 hours, which means by the time I finish with Chris, we've been awake for 20 hours.
Right. What is the goal in Hawaii? Is it to get the personal best, to continue bringing that time down under the 17 hours, or what is the goal? Just to continue the Ironmans every year and maybe go into other sports?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do after Ironman?
So Okay, so,
What are you gonna do after Ironman? Tell him that.
huh?
What are you gonna do after Ironman? Tell him. Golf.
Golf,
So what do you want to be? What kind of golfer?
break 80.
You want to break 80? So you
Yeah.
want
Whoa.
to be a scratch golfer?
Yeah.
Chris is
Okay.
actually a very good golfer. His dad's a good golfer too. So
Okay.
Ironman, our goal is for him to finish. It is a very, very difficult race in Hawaii. It is one of
Okay.
the hardest on the circuit.
Mm.
It is definitely one of the hottest. To get the only people that race that race are people that are invited. You just can't sign up. You have to
Oh.
be invited.
Okay. Okay.
And typically you have to qualify. So he qualifies because he's the first person with an intellectual disability in that division to go, and he was specially invited to go with me.
Right.
But he's got to finish that race in 17 hours, and it's going to be very hot, very windy, and it has a lot of hills. The race we did before is a 1 or a 2.
Okay.
This is a 7 or 8.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And you got to deal with the water. Is it more waves or, you know?
I think the water will be we'll be fine with that.
Okay. Okay.
The heat, we literally run through a lava field
Okay. Okay.
and bike through a lava field.
Okay. So this training leads up to that. It's like a year training for this stuff. I mean, it's like, it's not like you could do it 2 months before. I mean, you got to go now till, was it November?
That's our October this race.
October this year. Okay.
So why don't you
Okay.
tell them what races we're doing leading up, how we're preparing by doing other races? What race?
So we did the half Ironman in Hays City,
Okay.
and then in July, 2 half Ironmans in July, and then in June, 2 half Ironmans,
So 1 in June, 1 in July.
and then October 9 is the World Championship, and I'll be doing the New York City Marathon.
That's right. So his workups are going to be at least 2 half Ironman. One of them will be in Hawaii.
Mhm.
So he's going to do that, preparing. We're going to do one in about 4 or 5 weeks in hills here in Florida.
Okay.
And then we will do maybe another full Ironman leading up to the World Championship. We're thinking maybe Lake Placid, New York, a month or 2 before the big dance, and then that's it. And then we'll see what God has in store for us there. And then after that, we're doing the New York City Marathon, and then he might do some marathons, he might do some races, but he's gonna start focusing on golf.
Okay. Okay. Great. I think he's going to do it too, you know, with the scratch golf. I mean, you know, I would bet yes. You know, I'm betting yes on Chris. Chris, I'm gonna wrap up. Can I do a quick 3 question word association for Chris? All right, Chris. First word that comes to your mind. What is your favorite color?
What's your favorite color?
Pink.
Pink.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Something related to romantic movie.
You like romantic movies?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your favorite TV show?
Chicago.
Chicago what?
PD.
Chicago PD.
Okay. Yeah.
Show. Okay.
Chris, what's your favorite? 2 more. What's your favorite music? Like, what's your favorite album or group? What kind of music?
You like Drake?
Chris Marquis got me to listen to Drake.
You let him listen to Drake?
Yes.
Uh-oh. Marcus. Okay. One more question.
Is Dad okay with Drake? He's all right with Drake?
I think
Okay.
Dad's okay with Drake.
Okay. Okay. Last question. If you had one wish, Chris, in the world, and I'm a genie, I'm going to make the wish come true tomorrow. This is just one wish, and it's going to happen. What would your wish be?
My wish is to get married by now. I'm not ready no more.
Yep. I knew that answer was coming.
Okay.
As soon as
Okay.
he did that, his dream is to have a wife. That's what he wants. If you gave him one wish right now, it would be to have a wife.
And
That's
then
what he wants.
after this podcast, I'm going to walk up to Gianna and go to Gianna, I love you.
He spit my water out. Gianna has a boyfriend. You gotta get your own girl.
Oh, yeah.
What?
When I say Gianna is a blonde, you said Dad.
She is.
Yeah, this one colorful.
Okay.
You guys are like brothers, I see. I mean, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
quite
This
a
is,
connection, you know.
A year ago, I didn't know a single person with Down syndrome. Never met a person in 45 years of my life with Down syndrome. And this last year, I don't know, maybe 16 months, 14 months has been the best year of my life. This boy has brought so much joy into my life. He has healed a wounded heart just with his presence. And that's what people with Down syndrome can do. In some cultures, they consider Down syndrome divinity because they have godlike characteristics. They don't judge you, they love you, they hug you, they lead with empathy. The world would be a better place if we just acted more like Chris. I'm a better person because I have Chris in my life.
Guys, thank you for coming out. That was tremendous. Keep it going. We'll look forward to your journey, and you know, keep it rolling. Chris, thanks for coming out with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. It was
Great
an
job.
honor. God
Okay.
bless. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of New HD NYC. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform.